Testing this trend line, as we're back testing this trend line, if we can exceed it, or do we stall at it? But if we can exceed it, then you got a shot reaching the golden pocket. Let's take a look. And I think there's probably a pretty good chance. Again, the Fed's probably going to cut a quarter. I think the market could sell off and Bitcoin could sell off if the Fed starts showing concerns about the economy or some of the catalysts, whatever it may be. 2007, when the rate cutting campaign started, stock market moved to new highs and then eventually started going down with the rate cuts. Bitcoin wasn't around in 2007, but again, it's likely about to significant sell-off. I think Bitcoin's already peaked and is likely already started the bear market, unless I get evidence otherwise. But I think that I am seeing evidence of that. Talked about this here in the 4-hour time frame. Again, we had this bullish divergence. I told you we were going to get a rally. People laughed at me because we were selling off. We just had the liquidation move. Laughed at me when I told you about the bearish divergence at the top. People are just so influenced by, if we're rallying, then it can't go down, and if we're selling off, it can't go up. It's incredible, the herd and their nonsense. It's crazy. Prices go up and prices go down. So again, my signals have good signals. They've called these levels. I told you to be watching for bounce here. I told you I didn't know if it'd be feeble or big. I told you I thought it'd be feeble, but I told you that my signals, which are correct, turn back to bullish. We can get the bigger counter trend right now, and I think that's what's happening. I think we're getting this move back up to the 61.8 fib or maybe the 78.6 Fibonacci. I think you're getting the wave 2. I talked about this alternative count, which now is my primary count, being a 5-leg push lower. I told you I thought this was forward. I thought we were going to get one more push down. I was wrong about that. Told you up here we were going to go down to the low 100,000 area. I was right about that. We came down to 103, but I told you I thought we'd hit 100 to 101 and test that 50-week. We didn't do it. We bounced just above it. So again, we're likely setting up wave 2 to go take it out and confirm the bear market. And again, people are oblivious to what's about to happen right now. If we could turn things around and my signals turn back to bullish, then again, you've got a shot at the bullish scenario. Great Scott, did you hear what I just said? We have not yet confirmed the bull market. I see evidence of a top here. If those signals, my signals which are correct, are negated and they turn back to bullish, then again, the bulls have a shot at it. I don't think so. I think the odds are very, very slim. There's still that possibility. I think it's more likely the 4-year cycle has ended and we're getting a counter trend and we're about to sell off with the Fed. You still have the 50 below the 200 period here. You're rallying up to the trend lines I just showed you. You're probably going to end up popping up to the 61.8 Fibonacci. You know, Bitcoin is famous for turning off of the 61.8 Fibonacci. It's 117,000, the mid 117,000 area or so. And it's famous for doing so, and you'll likely complete the diversions here and then begin to tank and start crash wave 3. And crash wave 3 is going to go take out this low over here. And all the people that got liquidated over here that were freaking out, again, you're going to see another liquidation move. Now, again, another reason why I don't think Bitcoin's going to go make new highs is because of the liquidation move. The market makers pushed it down, liquidated, just the largest liquidation in history. People don't have the money to drive Bitcoin back up, and you have to understand that. A lot of people don't understand what just happened. You had these heavily leveraged traders completely wiped out. Fortunes were lost overnight. Do you understand what just happened? No, everybody, the people that had the money that were betting on Bitcoin was about to go to 200,000. Here we go. And we slammed into resistance and turned down. Those people just got, the heavy leveraged traders, they just got wiped out. So again, a lot of money, there's a lot of money that's not here. BlackRock, and actually BlackRock has been selling into the rally, believe it or not. They're allowing the retail investors to run it back up so they can sell into it. I think maybe they're starting to realize that Bitcoin has topped. I don't know that they would say that publicly. Yesterday, they were doing crazy selling into the rally. And again, that's called distribution. The big money, they don't want to just drop and just keep dropping. They want it to go back and forth. That's why we've seen since the summer, it goes back and forth. They keep selling into the rallies over and over at major resistance. Are you paying attention to what's going on? In July, in August, October, every single rally has been sold. Are you paying attention? They liquidated the people that can drive it back up. Heavily leveraged traders were completely wrecked, completely wiped out. So I don't think you have the money to push it back up to a new high. An enormous amount of money was wiped out with that move right there, which again, my signals correctly predicted was going to happen, back up at the top and back up at resistance. Warning you, we're going back to the low 100,000 area. So be watching here for this possible divergence on the RSI. The RSI has helped me call every single turn. And again, we're likely going to form another divergence here. We're getting that bigger rally that I talked about. Expected a bigger rally. I just thought we'd get one more push down and then get it. We're getting it right now. So I think you've got this ABC move here, and I think you're going to go up to the 61.8 fib or 78.6 Fibonacci. You might go as high as 121,000. Great Scott, did you hear what I just said? You might go as high as 121,000. Signals are back to bullish. So again, signals are short-term bullish. We're testing that resistance with those trend lines. If we get above it, you want to be watching the Fibonacci retracement. So I have it turning right here at the 61.8 fib. We might go higher. We might go towards the 78.6 Fibonacci, but I think you're going to establish a lower high with Bitcoin. By the way, in the more recent price action, you have a little miniature head and shoulders that's setting up. You have a larger one, but you have this little miniature head and shoulders pattern that's setting up right here with the September high. And that was, remember, we got the Fed rate cut. They started cutting in September, and what happened? Oh, Bitcoin peaked the very next day, and it began to decline. You're going to see the same thing happen here. I think Bitcoin will peak this week and possibly tomorrow with the Fed, or right after that like it did last time. And I think you're going to get a possible little miniature head and shoulders right here that will end up taking us down. Take out the 50-week rather than bouncing off it. We bounced just above it here. The 50-week, I think we're going to go take it out. So be aware of this head and shoulders pattern that is setting up right here. And again, if you look at the peak over here, well, we're coming right back up. That's the 118,000 area. And that is where the trend line, the declining trend line is coming in at. And it's pretty remarkable. Let me just show you two charts. Let me show you the 4-hour chart of this with the Elliot wave count and the trend lines. I'll show you the daily. Posted this chart on X. Got people laughing at me. Oh, what a dope. And these are the same people that called me those same names when I called the top back over here before the liquidation move, telling you we were going down to the low 100,000 area. Oh, gee, I was right. We did bounce above the 50-week moving average. I did predict a bounce, by the way, correctly. I told you I didn't know if it would be feeble or strong. I said if my signals turn back to bullish, we'll get the stronger counter trend right here. Now, I was expecting one more push down to the 100,000, the blue line right here, 100 to 101,000. We hit 103. And then I was expecting the bigger move higher. It looks like we're getting it right now for wave 2. Now, rallying back up. Again, more people. The people that never saw the top over here, the people that never saw the sell-off. And again, I told you we were going to get a rally. Told you I didn't know if it'd be big or small, feeble or strong, but signals on Sunday turned back to bullish, so that tells me we're going to get a bigger rally right here and now, which we are. Still back testing those trend lines. We're just doing it at a little bit higher level, the trend lines in the daily time frame. People mocking the possibility of a top rate, and they're going to be crying very soon, just as they were crying back over here at the liquidation move. It's one of the reasons why I don't think there's the money to push this back up. A lot of people lost a lot of money. I think you're going to set up a lower high here. Now, again, I'm counting this as a 5-leg push lower here. Wave 1, I think you've got an ABC under construction here, and I think you've got either wave A right here or wave A right here in a 3-3-5 pattern. And again, that kind of looks like a good fit. Elliot wave is speculation, but if we do have a 3-3-5, a 3, and then ABC for 3, and then we're now getting a 5, well, a 5-leg push higher, in my opinion, would take us up towards the golden pocket here, likely with the Fed tomorrow. Again, I think you could peak with the Fed this week, but just as we did back over in September, everybody, oh, here we go, the Fed's going to cut. And the Fed cut, and Bitcoin sold off sharply. Back at Jackson Hole, oh, here we go, Powell saying we're going to cut. And they rally, and then the rally was given back. We rallied up 4% with Powell at Jackson Hole, and it was all given back, and we went lower. I think you could have a 5-leg push higher here, and maybe you get a wave 5 into this downward trend line here. I've drawn a parallel channel from these lows over here. I thought we would go back and hit this low and then get this bigger bounce. Previously, I thought this was wave 4, but this was my alternative count. I talked about both. But here, I think you've got the possibility of a bear flag setting up. I think you can go push up into this trend line, and you've got a possible bear flag setting up right here. And this is a shadow on the daily chart. So if you just connect this high right here to this high, you've got the bear flag possibly completing already or going at a little bit different of an angle there. You can see it. I'll show you on the daily chart. But you're forming a bear flag, which I think is an ABC move into wave 2. I think you're going to probably hit this trend line, hit the 61.8 fib. We're just under it. That's 117,000. That 117,000 area. If we go above it, you hit 118,000 into this trend line and maybe into this trend line right here. If we reach it, if we, with the Fed or something, go up into that trend line and then begin to turn. The other possibility is that you go into the 78.6 Fibonacci up here at 121,000. I don't think you exceed 126,000, but you might go up to the 78.6 Fibonacci and even try to overthrow it if you try to get a bigger move. I think this rally is a fake out. I think it's a bull trap. I think this rally, let me repeat that. I think this rally is a bull trap that's going to set up a lower high and complete wave 2 once the ABC move is done, and it'll be followed by wave 3 that's going to be ugly. A lot of people are about to get wrecked in all likelihood if we set up a lower high and we begin to turn down to take out this low, and you get your lower high, lower low, and you start the big move down to take out the 50-week moving average and to go back and test 74,000 and maybe take it out, go down to 74,000, you're going down, I think, right around 42%, 43%, something like that. I measured it the other day. If you get, a 50 or 52% drop like we did at the beginning of the last bear market, you're going down to 60 or 63,000 and get a 50% haircut real fast. And people that are laughing and scoffing and saying, oh, 200,000, my favorite moon boy, or this expert says this. And again, the people that are calling for 200,000 are the same people that were telling us that we're going to be at 100,000 and 200 and 500,000 and all the rest of it, a million, back at the last top into 2021. Now, I'm saying if I see evidence, I will change back to bullish. But I see real evidence that we're topping and that you're likely going to get a lower high here. And again, that is being scoffed at. That is being mocked. Human nature does not change. People are doing exactly what they did at the last bull market top. I think Bitcoin has topped. I think it's going to set up a lower high here. I think you're going to complete a bear flag right here. And again, I think that you'll likely turn down here. Maybe the 50 doesn't cross above the 200. It could, and that could mark a top. Or as we've got a bullish cross here, we top shortly thereafter. Or you don't get a bullish cross. You come up here, and then you just start dropping back below them. And we see the 50 turn back down without being able to cross back above the 200 period moving average. So I think that divergence has a good shot in the 4-hour time frame on the RSI playing out to take us right into the 61.8 fib or this red trend line here, more likely at 118,000. And you could get as high as 121,000 if you go to the 78.6 Fibonacci or try to overthrow it. So those are the levels I'm looking at. I think we'll get a lower high. We are getting the rally that my signals warned about. I think it's going to wrap up here. And I think you will probably go a little bit higher with the Fed to the 117,000, 118,000 area or deeper into the golden pocket between 117,000 and 121,000. Please support the channel. Please support the channel with the link directly below. That allows me to provide you this information. If you like my charts, you like my indicators, let me know that by supporting the channel today. I don't have any sponsors. I turn those offers down. People, the exchanges, they want to get you all leveraged up to wipe you out. Look at what just happened with the liquidation move. You had people wiped out. That's probably why, one of the reasons why Bitcoin's not going to be able to go make a new high. A lot of money wiped out. Rather than trying to send you to some exchange that wants to get you wiped out, it's trying to send you to some site that wants to sell you gold at triple commissions, whatever. A lot of shady deals on the internet. I just ask that you support the channel, but I need to hear from you in order to make that work. Let me know you want this information, you like this information by supporting the channel today. I thank you for that. Follow the link below. It'll take you to a secured site and you can donate any amount you want. I thank you for your consideration for that. Quickly, it is in the daily time frame. Again, the lower boundary here, I think you're going up towards this upper boundary, maybe as high as 118,000. 61.8 Fibonacci directly overhead at 60 or 117,000. The Fibonacci golden pocket between 117 and 121. You have the bear flag that's forming here. Again, if we exclude the shadow right here, you've hit it already yesterday. And maybe we hit it again here at the 61.8 Fibonacci today or tomorrow. And then you turn down off of that level, or maybe you try to get up into this area. And if I include the shadow, we have this other boundary for the bear flag. I don't know which one will play out. But again, I'm looking at this channel line here. I'm looking at the Fibonacci's. I'm looking at the back test of the trend line that I'm looking at right here. Maybe we push above this level and get a topping tail like we did over here, pushing above the other trend line from the higher low in April. This is a trend line from the April low. And again, you could see something like this where you get a topping tail up here into the golden pocket somewhere into these levels I'm talking about and then begin to turn. But it's likely you've completed wave 1. You're now likely getting wave 2. And again, that's going to be followed by crash wave 3. And a lot of people are going to be crying in the very near future because, again, if wave 2 completes here this week, as I think it will with the Fed, you're going to start crash wave 3 and go down to take out the low over here at 103,000 and go down to take out the 50-week moving average. I think we'll have emergency cuts by December or January, get a quarter point here, and then I think that the Fed is going to show real concerns about the economy. That could rattle markets, or maybe there's another catalyst. I think you're likely to see a Fed sell-off as we did back over here in September. We peaked the day after the Fed, and again, you ended up selling off, going back and testing this low. I think the Fed can produce a top. I think that we can sell off sharply to 74,000 or to 60 or 63,000 until the Fed does jumbo cuts in either December or January. Give something similar to the last Bitcoin top where we peaked on October 6th. If that high holds, then you're looking at something similar, about 10 and a half weeks or so, maybe a little bit longer. Looking at jumbo cuts possibly by late December or on into January somewhere, which is what I think. I think it'll probably be January. I think December or January is possible, but more likely January. Just be aware that Bitcoin is forming a bear flag as we rally up into the Fibonacci retracement levels and likely getting an ABC move for a lower high. Now, Bitcoin is rallying up into the trend line. I told you that was going to happen back at the bottom. I was predicting these two trend lines would be tested. We hit it immediately. And I told you, I thought, hey, I think that the feeble rally is probably done. If it's not, my signals will have to turn back to bullish in order to get a larger retracement in order to get the wave 2 right here, right now. Because I told you I was expecting a rally and one more push down, then the bigger rally. Well, I told you if my signals, which are correct, turn back to bullish, we'll get the bigger rally right now. So I was right about the rally. I was right about the bottom. But I told you I thought it'd be a more feeble rally right here, and it turned down. We turned back up on Sunday, turning my signals back to bullish. So again, my signals are short-term bullish. So I'm looking for that larger wave 2 now in the Fibonacci retracement. But I'm still correct about this trend line being tested. I think you could overthrow it, though, with the Fed tomorrow and end up topping in the golden pocket. Here we are just right underneath the 61.8 Fibonacci. I'll show that to you in a second. Just wanted to update you. We're in backtest mode. Again, we can overthrow this trend like we did here at the topping tail. We could overthrow it and hit the 61.8 fib or the 78.6 fib, somewhere in between them maybe. But I think you're establishing a lower high. I think that Bitcoin is topped over here when my topping signals triggered at major resistance. Again, I've got people telling me, oh, no, so-and-so expert, Eric Trump's bullish, or Saylor, or Tom Lee, or whoever. Well, just because somebody has name recognition doesn't mean they know what's going on. A lot of people just repeat what they hear other people say. And the people right now, the people that are calling for 200,000 and 250,000 are the same people that didn't see the last top. I call the very day of the last top because of the diversions in the daily time frame in 2021 in November. We peaked on November 10th. Divergences, similar divergences in the weekly and monthly time frame, just as we do right now. And the 4-year cycle ended then. The 4-year cycle just ended here on October 6th. I think we peaked. If I see evidence that that changes, I will change. Got people saying, well, we don't want to hear that. So we're going to say that, you got famous influencers saying, well, we're now in the 5-year cycle, the super cycle. And people want to dismiss the warning signs. We're about to move into recession. I believe the recession will likely start in December or January. The Fed cutting is a huge red flag that the recession's about to start and the stock market is about to peak. And Bitcoin has likely already peaked ahead of the stock market, which was what happened in 2021. So I think the stock market slamming into major resistance is likely peaking. But if we can clear this trend line, you can go up into the golden pocket, tag the 78.6 Fibonacci at 117,000. If you can get above it, get a topping tail with the Fed and form a divergence in the 4-hour time frame here, which is what I think is probably going to happen. But I think you're going to turn off of that level. And then I think wave 2 is likely going to be done. And then I think you're going to get the crash wave 3. Coming down here, but you can go to 118 or 117,000 to 121,000. Then I think you're going to come back and take out this low, and eventually I think you will validate a bear market. I think that we will close below the 50-week moving average, but right now we're rallying back up, and so people go, oh, here we go, we're resuming, and again. Well, I predicted this rally. I told you I did not know if it would be feeble or more powerful, but I told you if my signals turn back to bullish, and I did predict a backtesting of these trend lines, which is happening, but I told you if my signals were able to turn back to bullish, we would get the more powerful rally right now, counter trend wave number 2, which is what I think is going on. We're forming a bear flag, by the way, going into this level. I think you're going to end up seeing the stochastic end up rolling over, but probably going higher with the Fed. The Fed is probably going to cut a quarter, but I expect that Powell is going to come off concerned about the economy. I think that the Fed statement might reflect that. And again, people now saying we're not going to get a cut. We're going to get a cut. We're going to get a quarter-point cut, but I think it's going to be a hawkish cut where, let me rephrase that, not a hawkish cut, but a cut with a tone of concern about the economy. Actually, we're going to start getting jumbo cuts in all likelihood in December or January at the next Fed meeting or in January. My guess is it's going to be January, but I think it'll be in December or January. You're going to start seeing Bitcoin collapse to go back to this low at 74,000, and it might go down, like if it does what it did at the 2021 top, it dropped 52%. That would take us back down. If we drop 50%, you're going back to 63,000. If you drop more than that, then if you drop 52%, you're going back to 60,000. This low is at 74. I think you're going back to this low for a test. I think you're forming a massive head and shoulders pattern on Bitcoin. That head and shoulders pattern measures down to 22,000. An 80% drop on Bitcoin is 25,000. And again, the bear markets for Bitcoin are 78% to 93% to be exact. I'll have to turn back to bullish. I think I'm seeing real evidence of a top weekly and the monthly charts with the 4-year cycle data that I study, and we're seeing going on with the MicroStrategy chart. Verging Bitcoin moved to a new high. It made a lower high, doing exactly what it did at the last top in 2021. I'll show you the chart briefly. If you want to look at it close up, you can go to X, formerly Twitter, and follow me at Charting Prodigy, and I posted the MicroStrategy chart there. If you're super bullish on Bitcoin, you better start praying that MicroStrategy does not close below the confirmation line here at $231.51. It's forming an Adam and Eve. This down here, right here, is an Adam and Eve topping process, and that's exactly what it did back over here in 2021. You had the Adam come up here, the first peak, and then you had the second peak right here, and it formed this double top. It was confirmed, and Bitcoin followed and it collapsed. It got a lower high. Bitcoin got a higher high. Bitcoin topped on November 10th, 2021. MicroStrategy made a lower high. Right now in the weekly time frame, this is the weekly chart of MicroStrategy. It's doing the same thing. You got the atom here, the atom top. You come down, the confirmation line at $231. You come back up. You got a lower high in July, and then you sold off. And just now when Bitcoin peaked, you got another lower high. It was so feeble it couldn't even go to back up and make the lower high with the Bitcoin top. And again, we're already seeing the bearish signals here in the weekly time frame for MicroStrategy. Bitcoin topped on October 6th. If you're of the opinion that Bitcoin is going to resume the advance, you better pray that it does not close below, MicroStrategy does not close below $231, because if it does, it's going to confirm a double top, and likely validating a bear market for Bitcoin that needs to close below the 50-week moving average to confirm a bear market. An Adam and Eve double top pattern here on MicroStrategy. Likely MicroStrategy has already peaked in November of 2024, and it's got a lower high just as it did back over here, peaking in February of 2021, and then later a lower high in November of 2021. Exactly, very, very similar, exactly what we have right over here. So again, huge red flag. People want to ignore it. People want to go, oh, I'd rather believe Bitcoin's going to rise 2.2 trillion in market cap in 64 days to rise to 200,000, which has never been done before.